Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar, Audit Flow, Customising Content. My name is Greg Narain and I'll be the presenter for today's session. We're going to look at a range of areas within Audit Flow where you can customise the content of your audit file or your audit template, and also some of the other aspects of the application. For those of you that may be new to Audit Flow is a cloud-based audit solution that's designed to save you time on completing your audits. Audit Flow aims to provide you with a highly compliant, quality audit file, and for you to be able to prepare that audit file in an efficient way using our application that's designed to be cost-effective, intuitive and scalable for your firm. Customising content. Part of the attraction of Audit Flow is not just the fact that it's a cloud-based solution, but within that solution you've got substantial scope to customize the application to suit the needs of your particular firm or a particular audit engagement that you're undertaking. And customization applies in a range of areas within Audit Flow, and we will look at a number of those areas in today's short session. Firstly, we'll have a look at customizing roles within Audit Flow in terms of the roles for the users within your firm. We'll look at quickly at how you can customize your firm tick marks, how you can customize folders as well as work papers and workflows and the contents of those work papers and workflows, letters and reports within Audit Flow, and then wrapping all that together is how you can incorporate a range of those customizations, particularly around folders, work papers, workflows, and letters and reports, and incorporate those into your own firm templates, whereby you can streamline your audit process by customization and pre-filling content into your firm templates. So let's jump into Audit Flow and let's have a look. The first area I'd like to just touch on is roles and permissions, and how when you're setting up the roles within your firm, you have the ability to establish your own custom roles. Roles and permissions is accessed off the Audit Flow dashboard. And if we go into that area, we can see that within Audit Flow, we've got a number of standard roles that are established from engagement partner through to graduate. But you also have the ability to add your own roles via Manage User Roles. So Manage User Roles enables you to create specific roles within your firm and then allocate permissions to those roles. Now, one such role that you may wish to look to set up within Audit Flow is that of quality reviewer. We can add that role. And if we then go back to view permissions, and we can see that we've got that role of quality reviewer that's been added on the far right hand side. And with that role in place, we can then look at establishing some permissions for that role in terms of what they can and cannot do. Now, a quality reviewer, we don't want them looking at the staff list. In terms of the audit file, we don't want them to be able to change or edit anything within an audit file. We want them to be able to view the working paper index. So let's go into edit mode by selecting the edit tab, and we'll set up that they can view the working paper index. We'll set up also that they can view the workflow. And essentially that is all that we want to set up for that particular role. And what that means is that if you have a quality reviewer that's looking at a number of your audit files, you can add a member of staff via the view staff list, and we can create a new staff member, and we can select a role for that staff member as quality reviewer. We can enter their name, their details. We can set them up as a user within Audit Flow. And then from the My Files menu, we can simply select the audit files that we want them to be looking at, and we can assign them to the engagement team for those particular files. And what that will enable them to do in that role as quality reviewer, they can view those audit files. They cannot make any changes to those audit files. And the only files, in fact, that they get to view or see within Audit Flow when they log in will be those files where you've assigned them to the engagement team for the sole purpose of quality review. So in terms of customizations, that's really just about how we can create our own custom roles, of which a quality reviewer might be one of those roles, and then how we can edit the permissions against those specific roles and then assign users to those roles within our firm. Okay, so that's a first area of customization, if you like. Second area of customization I'd just like to briefly look at is your firm tick marks. So from the green ribbon at the top of the screen on the spanner there, if we select the drop down and go into our firm settings, and the bottom item here, firm tick marks, is another area of customization of Audit Flow whereby we can add our own tick marks. We can add the new tick mark, and then we can see there that it's at the bottom of the list, and we can then further determine by ticking the boxes here as to which of our templates we'd like that tick mark to be available in. We can select colors for our tick marks if we wish. And then in our lead schedules and lead schedule summaries for actually all of our audit templates, because we've ticked all of those boxes, when we're in a lead schedule or lead schedule summary and we click into the tick marks column of that lead schedule, we will see our customized tick mark will be available for us to select from within that lead schedule. So that's just a quick one there in terms of adding your own firm tick marks. The next area to look at is folders and work papers that we can customize within our working paper index. So to do that, I'm going to create a new file. We'll select a file template, and we're just going to select from one of our industry templates today. Assign an administrator and create the new audit file. Okay, so there I've got my base audit file. I'm not going to import a trial balance into this one for the purpose of today. That's not required. But the first thing I'd like to look at is just how you can add folders and work papers to your working paper index. So we can do this at a file level. So I'm going to look first at how we can just make those customizations at the file level. And then at the end of the session today, we'll look at how all of these customizations that we've looked at, we could make those in our firm template. So for any audit file, by clicking on the working paper index drop down, we can create a new work paper and a new folder. In fact, we can create as many of these as we would like. So let's start with a new folder. We may want to put a specific folder into our working paper index for supporting documents. So let's give it a reference. Let's give it the folder a title, supporting docs. We'll select the type it's already set there as folder, and we click create. So very simple process. Just click cancel to get rid of that area. We've added a supporting documents folder into our working paper index, and now we're free to add content to that folder. We can do that further. We can add a new work paper to that folder. So we just select new work paper, and then we can enter a work paper reference. Now, although this is a supporting documents folder, let's add a working paper to it anyway, just for demonstration purposes. So the work paper reference, let's call it SD-1. Supporting document summary. And then we can select what type of work paper we would like that to be from the type drop-down list. So within Audit Flow, we've got a range of work paper types, which we're expanding all the time. And you can select from a range of work paper types in terms of how that work paper will look and what you can do with it within your folder. So we're going to select a program checklist, and we're going to put that into our SD folder and create it. Okay, so that has created a very basic work paper. Let's put a header for completion on the work paper area that we can upload supporting documents into the work paper if we wish. And it's put that work paper into our supporting documents folder. We can then edit this work paper and add content to it, and the way we do that is from the File drop-down, we're going to select Edit Mode. Edit Mode in Audit Flow enables us to add building blocks into our work paper and populate it with checklists, comment boxes, headers, titles, and sections. So we can add a section. We can have that as a program, and we can select Add. Okay, so we can enter some guidance for this section, and then we can add rows. We can enter a procedure. We can also pre-populate assertions and comments. So we can build up the contents of our work paper in that fashion. Okay. We could further add a checklist. Let's put a further section into our work paper in the form of a checklist. And once again, we can add rows. And this time it's putting in a checkbox response, yes, no, or not applicable. And we can populate these with procedures as well. So we can build up our work papers in this fashion. We might want to add a conclusion at the bottom of this work paper. And we'll select conclusion. And let's add that in. Okay, so we've got a conclusion section that we've added there. Once again, we can populate with text. We can enter any comments, pre-fill any comments, or leave that blank. So we've built up the basics of a work paper here, and if we just exit edit mode, and now that's saved the contents into that work paper. So customizing content, customizing work papers in Audit Flow is very straightforward in that regard. We've created a new work paper. If we go to our A folder, let's have a look at our financial audit program, and just another take on customization. Let's open up our cash section of this work paper, and we might determine that in terms of our standard content here, perhaps for your firm there's an additional procedure you'd like to add to the cash section of this work paper. So once again, simply a case of opening the work paper, and we can select edit mode, and that will take us into edit mode for this work paper. And we can see now in edit mode we've got the building blocks all displayed. And if we come down to our cash section here, we might want to add a further procedure. We can simply just add a row, and we can enter that procedure. And then once that's added, we can exit edit mode, and that customization or edit will be added to that particular work paper. So on a file by file basis, we can create customizations as we require in terms of adding folders, adding work papers, or editing work paper content, and that's all dictated by the working paper index menu, where we can select a new work paper or a new folder, and then off the file menu where we can enter edit mode to make our customizations. Now, if you muck it up and you want to start again, there's a reset form option which will reset that form back to its original format and allow you to recover and start again. Okay, so that's folders and work papers within an audit file. Next area of customization I'd like to have a look at is the workflow diagram. Now, the workflow diagram in Audit Flow is a very powerful and useful tool to enable you to set up a roadmap, to set a task list for completion of your audit, and to ensure that your audit is completed in a methodical and consistent way across every audit file, regardless of who in the team is completing that audit. Within the workflow, we break the audit down into a number of workflow steps. For our SMSF file that we're looking at here, we've got 4 audit steps: our preliminary engagement activities and planning, gathering of our audit evidence, audit completion, audit review, and finalisation. We may wish to add a further workflow step, and maybe it's a pre-audit step. So we can just enter a workflow step and create that new step. Now let's put that to the top. We can move that around, and if we created a step and we wanted to put that, perhaps it was designed to be step 3, we could just move it there. You can see it's going to renumber. But let's take it back to the top. It's showing there as completed because we haven't got any steps, any tasks that we've created for this step yet. So the moment we put in here a task 1 for this particular workflow step, and we add that task, then we can see that that's reverted back to being not started. We've added that task. We might want to add a section to this particular step. So we can add sections, we can add tasks. Okay, so we've added a section there. It's a blank section. We can once again, we've got the ability to edit content within these areas by clicking on the pencil. Now, Where this can be very useful is firms that might be looking at using the audit flow work paper structure to complete an accounting or compliance work paper file that then advances to being the audit file. And you might want to set up steps, sections, and tasks within the workflow to provision for your accounting or administration team to do all of that work paper work in preparation for the auditor, who would then come in at step 2 of the audit and start working through the audit completion process. So once again, an area that you can customize for your firm. Now you can customize this at a file level as we're looking at now, but far more efficient to be able to do that at a template level, which we'll get to shortly. So within an existing workflow, anywhere, any task that we tick on where we can see the pencil, if we click on the pencil, that enables us to edit content for that particular workflow task, and then click on the little disc there to save. Similarly, for references, we can delete references, or by clicking on the pencil, we can edit references. And bear in mind that you can also have multiple references in these workflows. Okay, so that's the workflow diagram. Now, if we click on the workflow drop down, we've got the option here of import workflow. So bear in mind that if you created your own workflows and templates, or you've got a workflow that you've customized in another file, you can easily add that to the file that you're working in. We can simply search for another file where we know we've edited a workflow. And we can select that workflow and we can import it into our existing file, and we can clear the existing workflow. Okay. So moving on from workflow, the other area that I'd like to look at just before we spend some time on firm templates is letters and reports. So within your working paper index, let's go into our accounts and audit completion folder, where we've got our audit report, our management letter, and our trustee representation letter. So in terms of editing the content of these reports, let's open the audit report. In terms of editing content, click on Edit Document, and that will take you into edit mode, which is a live doc format that we provide within Audit Flow to enable you to edit these documents. The first thing you'll notice when we go into edit mode is that when we scan down the document, you'll note data fields that are entered into this document. Now, these data fields are linked to data in a couple of areas within Audit Flow. Firstly, client information that you've set up in the client area of Audit Flow will flow into these documents, or these letters and reports. Secondly, information that you have set up in your firm settings in Audit Flow will flow into these letters and reports as well. Now, all of the data fields, whether they sit in the client area or the firm area that you can add into these documents, can all be accessed off the data fields drop down. So this data fields drop down shows you a list of a range of data fields that can be added to your standard letters and reports, and then we'll pre-populate that information through into these letters and reports. You can also enter off the work papers drop down into letters and reports. You can enter work paper references, which will place the reference as a hyperlink into the document as well. standard letters and reports in Audit Flow are designed that you will go through these documents and edit content as appropriate for the audit that you're completing, and then allow you to save that information and output it to a Word document for applying a letterhead and signing the document and forwarding to the client. What I would say, just as a tip in terms of outputting this content to Word, that you may find that if I just exit edit mode there, that if you just highlight the content that you're wanting to output to your Word document and do a copy and paste, a Control-C and a Control-V into your Word document, that you will find that that may format a little bit more nicely into your document than the download as a Word document option. So just bear that in mind. I think you'll find that it'll just format more neatly into your Word document. Before we leave the standard letters and reports, just be aware that if you've got a Word document that you wish to upload into Audit Flow, that those documents can be uploaded into a live doc format within Audit Flow. So we'll just locate a document here. So I've got some standard documents, and I've got a sign engagement letter there in a Word doc format. Now, if I've got a Word document that I want to add to my audit file, I can drag and drop it, and I'll be prompted whether I want to upload that as a normal upload, in which case it will just add it as a Word document, or I can elect to upload it as a live doc. So what that will do is we'll convert that Word document to a live doc, and that blue document indicates that it's in live doc format. And what that means now, that when I open that document, it enables me to go into edit mode for that document, so that I can edit it within Audit Flow, and it also enables me to place data fields as well as workpaper references into that document. So that's another way that you can create workpapers within your audit file, as that are editable within Audit Flow. You can create them as live docs by uploading a Word document. Okay, so that covers it in terms of letters and reports. And the last area I'd like to cover today, which is the main area of customization within Audit Flow, and where you can really gain efficiencies in your audit process, is firm templates. So we'll go back to the dashboard, and from the dashboard drop down, we'll select Manage Templates. Now, Manage Templates is an area where you can create your own firm templates in Audit Flow, and you can create templates from scratch, or you can base templates on content that you have already created within Audit Files, or that we provide you within our standard templates, and then add your own customizations. So to create a new template, we come into the templates area, we select New Template, and we give the template a name. And we'll call this Webinar SMSF. We'll select the template type, which is going to be SMSF Audit, and we'll create a template. Okay, so we've now created our template, and this enables us to create both and populate a working paper index as well as a workflow diagram into our template. Now, we're going to import content into this template as opposed to starting from scratch. And we're going to do that by using the Copy Workpapers from Other Files function, which is available in any audit file that you're working in. You can copy a workpaper or content from another file into the file you're in. Now we can search for any file that we want to copy content from. So I could search for the Peter Pan Superfund, and if I find that file, it's going to bring me up the entire working paper index from that file, and I can select all, or I can select specific work papers or content from within that file that I want to add to my template. Or I might say, well, let's have a look at Audit Flows 3.0 SMSF template. Let's select that, and let's use that as a starting point, and we've just got some customizations and additions that we'd like to make to that. So we'll import that into our template file, and we see down the bottom here all of the work papers that it's imported. So if I now come back to my working paper index, I can see that I've added the folders to my template, my firm template, and I can open those folders, and I've got all of the work papers, letters and reports that have also been added to that template. Now I can then go about my customizations to this template, and I've got, once again, a range of ways that I can customize within my firm template, and a number of these we've just looked at. So once again, I can add a new folder into my template. And we'll just do this quickly by way of reinforcement. And let's create that folder. And then I may also wish to add a new work paper to a specific folder. So I can do that as well within my template. Other things that I may wish to do within my template. In my preliminary engagement activities work paper, I'd like to go through. I can see that there are some standard comments that have been added, but I'd like to add some more comments into this work paper. So any comments that I put into my my template, I need to make sure that there's no spelling mistakes. But these comments are going to appear in every audit file that I create based on this template. So I can streamline my content and my file completion process by putting as much generic content into this template as I can. So I can do that. I may choose to, and I know some firms choose to, and a lot of firms choose not to, pre-complete the SIS compliance checklist. While it can be a time-saving function in terms of when you then come to do the file, you just need to review this work paper and not have to complete it every time. So that is something that you may choose to do, and also add standard comments into the template. You might also choose to, in terms of a new work paper, you might have a specific work paper that you utilize and wish to create a placeholder for that within your audit file. For instance, it might be a tax reconciliation work paper or something like that, and you might choose just to create a work paper within a folder as a holding place for that Excel document, for instance. So you might want to do that, and maybe it's a T1, and maybe we'll create a folder that's called tax within this template as well. And that might be, we might just once again want to create that as a brief program checklist. I'm going to put it in the SD documents folder for now. And we create that. Now we might want to go into edit mode once again and we might just want to add a section header and call that tax recon. And we might want to have a program required, or we might just want to put a large comments box in there. And we might want that just to be a holding work paper and a place where we're going to upload or complete in terms of the tax recon work paper step that we want to complete, and we then might further want to add a step in that regard into our workflow. So if we go to the workflow diagram within our template, and we can also import a workflow. And once again, we can import the workflow from 3.0. Let's search for it. And let's find that. Let's import all of our workflow steps. Okay, and if we come to our workflow, back to our workflow diagram, and we've uploaded a workflow into this template. And once again, we can now go through the process of editing our workflow steps, and with all the same flexibility that we looked at when we were in the audit file itself. So once we've done all our edits to our workflow diagram, our working paper index, we just need to close the template file. And the template will sit in our templates list in a draft format until we mark it as released. And once we mark that template as released, then it will appear in our template list when we create a new audit file. So if I go to the My Files, create new audit file, and select a file template, I've now got under my firm templates here, I've got my webinar SMSF template that I can use as the basis for that audit file and import that content. So templates is a library, if you like, that we can use to create our own customized templates for an entire audit file. We can also use it as a place to create specific customized work papers that we might want to use selectively within audit files as well. And if we're in an audit file, and let's just quickly jump into an audit file, and I know I've got a particular work paper that I'd like to add to a particular folder in my working paper index. On my working paper index, I can select copy work papers from other files. Okay, and then I can search for any audit file, and I might want to search for a particular template that I've created. So I've got a firm template that I know contains the particular work paper that I'm after. Okay, and I can find that particular document, and I can import it into my audit file. So templates is not always about entire templates. It might be used also as a holding place for specific work papers or documents that I might want to use selectively within particular audit files. Okay, that's all I wanted to look at today in terms of customizing content. We've had a look at how you can customize roles within Audit Flow for particular types of users, how you can customize your firm tick marks, and then how within an audit file you can customize folders, work papers, as well as workflows. And we also looked at letters and reports, the standard letters and reports within Audit Flow, how you can customize those, how you can upload your own Word documents and create your own live docs within Audit Flow. And then we've spent a little bit of time around how you can pull all of that functionality into your own firm templates and some of the different ways that you can use firm templates within Audit Flow. That's all that we'll be covering in today's webinar. Now, if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask, I will stay on the line for a little bit longer, and happy to address any questions. But for those of you that need to get on with the rest of the day, thanks very much for your time and attendance today, and I hope that you found that useful. So for any questions that you may have, if you'd just like to enter those by way of the chat window, and I'm happy to respond. Okay, it doesn't look like anyone has any questions today, but look, thanks very much again for your attendance, and please visit our website, www.auditflow.com, and you'll see on our webinars page there that there are further upcoming webinars on a range of topics, and all designed to hopefully improve your understanding of the flexibility and functionality of Audit Flow. Thanks very much. Bye for now.